Today, we are setting up week 25 in my Sterling Ink Common Planner. Before that, I will be doing a reading for the collective around the highest thing for us to know as we head into week 25. We'll consider the astrology of the upcoming week and time block it. After time blocking week 25, we'll say our affirmations. And finally, in honor of the new moon in Gemini, we will have a notebook tour of the notebooks I am using in 2026. So there you go. So let's have a quick conversation about the astrology, and we'll get more in depth into this notebook. This is my current business notebook. Last year's notebook lasted quite a few years, and we could get into that in my video where I'm setting up this notebook, but that's not now. So we're just gonna jump into the notebook. It's a new notebook for 2026, and here is where I jotted down some quick notes about the new moon in Gemini, and it's today at 10:54 p.m. June 14th, 2026, if you are catching us on the replay. Okay, so moon in Gemini, creativity, communication, writing, those are the things that it's associated with. My friend Irma K. Sawyer, who I have linked in the description, because when I don't have time to look up astrology, I'm checking out what she has to say. I mean, when I don't have time to interpret my own astrology, I'm checking out what she has to say about the current astrological picture. Okay, so continuing with that, she says that Gemini is the wordsmith and the magician. So it is also a very powerful sign, a very psychic sign because of that. And another thing she said was, use your voice and language for manifestation. And so I love that. It's an encouragement to me to be more consistent with my affirmations. That may be one of the 10 new moon wishes that I make. So, within 8 hours of this new moon, hopefully when the moon is not void, write 10 wishes for the new moon. We're gonna get into ideal wishes. Well, I guess we might as well do it now. So, ideal wishes for the new moon in Gemini. I love this book. When, usually I can sit down and I'll write a few things about what I want to create, and I can word it well, and so that works. But there are times when the window is now, it's time to write the wishes, and you're not sure what you want to write down as your new moon wish. Okay, so this is why I love this book. I believe this is my second copy of this book. I bought the original version, gave that to a friend, and then bought myself a new copy. And I believe I purchased this in like 2011 or something like that. And I pull this thing out a few times a year to get inspiration on affirmations, because I sometimes turn the wishes into affirmations. Reading this book is what helped me add easily to a lot of my affirmations. Most of the time when I heard an affirmation, it was, yes, making a declaration, but it wasn't calling in the ease. And so I really loved that when I came across this work. So New Moon Astrology by Jan Spiller, if you want to take your new moon wishes to the next level. Anyway, so what does she say for Gemini? Because she's got every sign here. Where are we? Cancer. Gemini. Okay, so what to wish for when the new moon is in Gemini? Okay. Motion, activity, learning, communication skills, logic, cleverness, social ease, positive daily interactions, calming mental anxiety. So those are some broad subject areas where wishes around those broad subject areas would be very powerful when the new moon is in Gemini. So there's that. So then she goes into the rulership of Gemini. Gemini rules motion, including automobiles and mechanics, short trips, transportation, restless energy, excitability. So she's got that there. And then sample wishes to facilitate appropriate motion. And she has like about 15 or 20 wishes related to these subject areas. Gemini rules learning. Gemini rules communication. Writing, speaking, effective listening and teaching, mental rapport, understanding different opinions. And because I'm feeling the pull towards writing, I want to just grab some writing new moon wishes off this list. I want to easily find myself asking the right questions that lead to my understanding how other people think. Okay, that one's understanding. I easily find myself writing in my journal a minimum of blank days a week, a minimum of blank minutes each time. I want to easily find myself communicating with insert person in ways that restore the love in our relationship. I want to more effectively listen and learn from others and communicate in a way that allows them to hear me. So those are good. Gemini also rules logic. It rules social skills. It rules relationships based on proximity, including brothers, sisters, neighbors, schoolmates, roommates. And I'm wearing my, well, you can't really see, but my sister, who usually pops up in my lives, gave me this shirt, Sister Squad, and I decided to wear it today in honor of the new moon in Gemini. Okay. Gemini also rules overactive mental processes. And in matters of restoring health, Gemini rules hands, wrists, arms, and shoulders, hay fever, lungs, breathing, and the nervous system, which, interestingly enough, I smashed my finger super hard about 45 minutes ago. So it's interesting that Gemini rules the hands. And I believe I read in Irma's new moon update that Uranus is also in Gemini. So I find that interesting. But anyway, okay, so those are the subject areas where one might possibly want to make some new moon wishes. I urge you to try it and see what impact it has on your manifestation. Okay, so next we're going to finally get into this reading, because I may have been talking for like 15 minutes. No. I was setting up for a few minutes, and that will be cut out. All right. Oh, no, not you. Okay. I like to use the Moonology deck just as a visual for the lunar phase and the sign that it's in. Not to say that, you know, the guidebook and whatever guidance the guidebook offers isn't worthwhile, just that I tend to pull it for that. I tend to pull it out for that. Okay, so new moon in Gemini. Wow, it's right under here. Here we go. New moon in Gemini. Think it through. Okay. There we go. Okay. New moon in Gemini, think it through. And so the tarot reading is what is the highest thing to know for week 25. I am using the Modern Witch deck. It's got this very dualistic energy to it, so I thought that fit very well. See, like the M and the W, or look like the reverse of the other, just so it's got that dual vibe. And I decided that would make it good for today's reading about the new moon in Gemini. And so since today is Sunday, the new moon, I'm putting the moon card at the beginning, even though in theory, like say I would have given this reading last week, the lunar phase would be at the end, because I'm a Monday start type of person, but we're using this to guide us into week 25, so I'm putting it at the beginning of the spread. So that's going to be the first card, which is the task the moon brings to us. The moon card is the task the moon brings to us. And so what is the task the new moon in Gemini is bringing to us? What? Okay, so that one wanted to jump out. Oh, Lord, 10 of Swords. That's the task. Interesting. All right. And so the next card is, what is the highest action to take? What is the highest action to take? Highest action to take. And then what is the highest thing to know? The third card is, what is the highest thing to know? What is the highest thing to know? Okay. So there we have it. This is what we got. Highest action to take. Queen of Swords. Highest thing to know, 9 of Cups. Okay, so now I understand. These swords, right? This weighed down feeling, right? I mean, you tend to think 10 of Wands as weighed down, but this girl is wiped out. She's wiped out. She's doom scrolling on the phone. It's a nightmare outside. It's a nightmare inside. This is a recipe for bad decisions even, right? So what is the new moon in Gemini giving us? What task is it? Is we've got to look at this. We've got to look at our self-sabotage. Because this is, if we were to look at this card literally, this is emergency mode. It's an emergency, and the look on her face is not giving, I'm dialing 911 so that someone could help pull the sword out of my neck. So this energy is like you're tapped out. You're so tapped out, you don't even know how to ask for help. And so the task is to face reality. And it's interesting because I was talking with someone before, and we were discussing stress and how when you live with chronic stress, you really don't realize the impact that it's having on your body because you're just so used to living with it. And if nothing bad happened, it was a good day. But if you've got this low grade stress, it doesn't matter if nothing bad happened. The body is anticipating and living as if something bad is happening all the time. And so obviously, what does the moon say? Okay, you're telling us we've got to let some of this stuff go, right? And what's the highest action to take? Queen of Swords, cut it out. Cut it. There's a lot of mental anguish that this card is presenting as well. And sometimes we need to just drop it. If you have to delete people, if you have to block people, if you have to write a letter telling them that you can no longer continue, then that may be the task. That may be the highest action to take, is tell the truth and keep your peace. Okay, and then finally, the highest thing to know, 9 of Cups, super abundance. The highest thing to know is that the love overflows. When you set boundaries, it makes room for more goodness, for more respect. That's what setting boundaries does. Makes room for more abundance. And so that is the highest thing to know, that setting the boundaries makes room for abundance. I should write that down because that sounds great. So we're going to write that down here. Great. Oh. Okay. Does Ingrid remember what she said needed to be written down? No, she does not. So now I have to look at these cards again. Oh, setting boundaries makes room for more. There we go. And it's interesting. One thing, the lower octave of Gemini, as Irma likes to call it, or like the shadow side of Gemini, tends to go along with others, can easily switch based on the environment. And so I find it interesting that the main message that we're walking away with is that setting boundaries makes room for more. You won't lose love, you won't lose joy, and you won't lose understanding. And maybe it looks like you'll lose, but it's just the world opening up the space for those that can give more. Okay. So that's the message. I'm going to ring the bell. We're making room for more. We're making room for more by cutting out what no longer serves us. think it through, and then cut what doesn't serve. Okay, so what next? I wanted to give a sacred geometry activation oracle as well, because even though I can't point to a specific source for this assertion I'm about to make, but Gemini also reminds me of math and calculating and geometry, and I don't know how traditional astrology would view that, but that's just the vibe that Gemini gives me. And because of that mathy vibe, I wanted to look at how beautiful this is, by the way. I wanted to pull out an oracle from the Sacred Geometry Activations Oracle. An activation to assist us in this mental work that needs doing so that we can feel what we long to feel, so that we can feel the fulfillment. And so what activation are we being called to? Okay, and it is 21, the divine feminine. Of course, because we pulled out the modern witch deck, which, if you're not familiar, every individual in the deck has some type of variation of femme presentation, whether it be femme with a more masculine look. The king is like femme with a more masculine look, but still femme, you know. And so 21, the divine feminine. The frequency of divine feminine supports our receptive, nurturing, and soft side, allowing it to express itself openly and helping us to connect to our intrinsic understanding of our connection to all of creation. And that's beautiful too, the whole connecting. So yeah, just take a look at that image, take some deep breaths, and allow the energy of this frequency to affect your nervous system in the highest way possible. Okay, love that. I want to check out what the guidebook says since it's here. Number 21. Three-dimensional reality is based on the duality between opposites and their eternal movement toward union. Everything is created in pairs: male, female, matter, spirit, empty, full, dark, light, and so on. Without the tension caused by the magnetic push and pull of duals, there would be no movement, and without movement, there would be no life as we know it. When the push and pull of opposites is equal, a state of balance is achieved. For humans to live harmoniously with each other, the masculine and feminine have to reach a state of union, both outward in relationship with each other, as well as inward in a balanced state of heart, mind, and soul. The masculine and feminine attributes inside all of us have to be fully realized, understood, and expressed. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest because we could spend all day contemplating the imagery. But I do want to read the meditation that was written for this card. Close your eyes and go inside yourself. The feminine nature is to love, nurture, and guide through intuition. Are you allowing this? Are you loving toward others? How about toward yourself? Do you express your femininity without holding back? Take some time tonight to do something loving and special for yourself to spark your femininity. Okay. And there we go. There we have it. Yeah, so that was our reading for the collective and our sacred oracle activation. Now we have to move all these cards out of the way and get into the readings. The readings, and get into the planning. The plan and affirm portion of the live is next. And while I clean that up, ooh, the Empress. That feels like an affirmation for us and the divine femininity. Tap in. A crown today. Can we turn our hair into a crown, or can we wear a crown? Something queenly. Okay, while I clean this up and get everything ready for the planning, I'm just going to tell you, if you're new here, I'm Ingrid from thinkingthis.com. I am a writer, tarot reader, Akashic record guide, medium, and spiritual empowerment professional. My books are currently open. If you would like a tarot reading or a dream interpretation or an Akashic record reading or an energy reading, my books are open on www. Why am I saying that? I'm dating myself. My books are open at thinkingthis.com. Okay. All right, time to move the tarot cloth. Get back to our grid over here. And time to take this off. All right. Okay. We're okay. All right. So, next up, planning for week 25. All right. So here is week 23. We planned this live together. And then here we are, week 24. This is this week. This is today. This is today, but this is this week that's about to end. And then here we go. Week 25. Things have already started requiring the pages. Thankfully, I was able to write everything down. I'm sorry, I'm messing with this because, I don't know, because I'm hard-headed. I shouldn't be messing with it. I should just... Here we go. Let's begin. Okay, so according to my little schedule here, after the tarot reading, we add the lunar phases on the weekly pages. And so here we are, weekly pages. Weekly pages, lunar phases. Okay, we are using this for the lunar phases. and this. Okay, so my ruler. Not that ruler. Oops, smack everything too. Jeez. Okay. Okay. Put the fountain pen up there. Put the ruler over here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to use brown and mild liner gold. Mild liner gold. I'm having a problem with my diction today. Okay. So next week we have the 18th and the 21st. So 18 and the 21st. Okay, that is waxing crescent. Waxing crescent. And I believe the 21st was first quarter, yes. First quarter, okay. Leo. And Libra. Okay. Drawn in. Now coloring the bright side of the moon. There we go. After we do that, we need to mark open books for week 25, and we have it's 15, 16, 18, 19, 20. Okay, the event. Man, I'm not closing these pens right. Look at that. This thing was almost open. Not good. Okay, the event is Father's Day. All right. Next up is appointments. There is an appointment. I just don't know if I am needed at that appointment. So I'm just going to write it down. Obviously, that's also telling me I am not going to have the card that day. Okay, so appointments. And so the time blocking begins now. as usual, I like to start with dinner. And so that's what we're going to do, is time block dinner. And that doesn't just include eating it, that is supposed to include the meal prep. I do have help, so I don't have to cook dinner per se, but there's definitely, I'm actually cooking breakfast. I'm cooking waffles. Well, I'm gonna call it brunch because I ain't trying to get up at no 8 o'clock in the morning to make it real breakfast. So I'm calling it brunch. I say we should start at 9 o'clock. Well, at 9:30. 9:30 to 11:30, making and eating waffles. And then, with knowing that for a fact, actually, then I know that I actually don't need that there. Okay. Now, normally I would shade in those hourly blocks, but because, like I said, I do have help this week, I don't necessarily have to be cooking at that time unless there's something that I myself must be involved in, and that would be this day. And so there I'm shading in the hourly blocks. These others are optional depending on the circumstances of the people helping me. But we're just gonna put that there. And I'm going to type in waffles. And that also tells me I need to plan Sunday menu. And then if there's meal prep to prepare for that waffle day, then I could make it here. Because one thing that we could do is we can make ice cream. Waffles with ice cream. So, yeah, there's a thought. But so I'm going to put ice cream in with a question mark. Would that be fun? And do I have time for that? I probably don't have time for it, but will my capacity allow me to steal time for it? Okay, next we have to time block the bedtime routine. All right, so bedtime routine is the PM reflection. And then kids flossing. Some of my children need supervision. And if I don't put it there, I'm just going to send people to bed and forget that I need to supervise the flossing. So that's why it's getting written there. And then over here on Saturday, the weekly review is supposed to happen. So that's what this second dot is for. And so here we go, weekly review. And there, if I do it on this day, I put an X and etc. Okay, so that is the bedtime routine. Next is homeschool instruction time. So we're going to move the book down a little bit. Homeschool instruction. All right, so pretty full day. Oops. I mean, not pretty full day, pretty full week. There's nothing. There's nothing, there's no like, hey, it's a day off, right? It's a full week. We homeschool year round. The reason being that there are some days where only one or two subjects happen, you know, like a field trip day, etc. And because of that, we need to homeschool throughout the year so that we can maintain pace with peers without stressing ourselves out and working 8 hours straight on it. Summertime is also where I get way more energy and I'm much more productive. So I decided that I should not eliminate my most productive season for this thing that is so important, which is the education, right? Like, I've taken on this responsibility. Should I really be taking off during the time period that I'm most capable? And the answer is no. Like, I have chronic menstrual pain, and that, you know, knocks me out 1 to 2 days a month. Or if it doesn't knock me out completely, it reduces my capacity to the point where, yeah, we're not getting all the subjects done. We may get, you know, 4 out of 5 done or 3 out of 5 done, but not all of them. Summertime is where we can really get it all done. And obviously, that has a lot to do with my ability to be organized. But my youngest still requires my direct input and organization. And so it's got to happen when I'm at my best, which is spring and summer. And so that's why we homeschool year round. And again, you know, we take time off, but we're never taking 2 months off in a row. Although I did come close when my father died. But in the end, there was still like independent work that she could do, so she didn't really take off. And there was definitely, when my husband was in the hospital, there was some of that too. So no, we can't take off. I am looking for the next thing. That's what it is. And that is filling in homeschool instruction time. This is pretty much the ideal time that this should happen. And so that is what we are marking. Okay, next up is homeschool prep time. Well, actually, this box is update the homeschool register. And basically, what is the homeschool register? It is not my, but it is a Hobonichi avec, where I just write down what occurred in school every day. And it's best not to let that accumulate, or the book serves no purpose. And so that's why I must make time for it every day, whenever possible. Oops. All right. Okay, so that is homeschool instruction. Next up is the evenings. I mean, not instruction, update homeschool register. Next up is the evenings, and that's where I'm going to get into the homeschool prep. There is a definite time each week that should be that, and that is Saturdays from 7 to 8:30. Okay. Is there another time? I think it's more optional. It's not a direct other time. Actually, Sunday, realistically, what? It's Father's Day. How much am I really gonna get done Sunday night? We're gonna leave that. Okay, so the next part of the evening routine is I just highlight the open book times. I mean, not highlight, outline. Outline the blocks that the books are open. If somebody books are reading, then I just write it down on that line of what time their appointment is. If they don't, I do something else at that. Oops, I do something else at that time. Wednesdays we have book club. Okay. Oops. Okay, so the books are open at those times. And because of that, I'm just going to put a dot. And that's that. I also realized that this doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to take that out. There we go. Okay. Okay, so if there isn't a booking, then I would shade the hourly block with the corresponding color. And that way you know this is the thing that has to happen at that time. Okay, now my event signifier is a triangle with the bottom that's open after the event, and I go to it or attend it or host it or whatever, then I draw a line to complete the triangle at the bottom. Okay, what else? What else? We're continuing with the evening routine. I have my bookkeeping project that I want to finish by July 1st. It's intense. It's a lot of transactions to look at all the way from 2025 because life has been crazy. And when I thought I was going to get it together, life said, no, you're not. And so now I'm trying to get it together. And so a definite bookkeeping time is Sunday 8:30 to 10. But because it's Father's Day, I'm not exactly sure, so I'm not going to shade it in. I'm just going to outline it. And we have to choose a different day to be a definite bookkeeping. And so it's going to be this one, Thursday. Unless somebody books a reading, we will be bookkeeping. That also means that Monday needs to be that as well. I spent a lot of time bookkeeping yesterday, a tremendous amount of time, and I did not get as far as I was hoping. And so I'm hoping that I get into a better groove, because it's a lot of transactions. It's just saying the same thing, all the time. A lot of transactions. Okay. And the same thing over here on Friday. Okay, so evening routine. Oh, this is self-care. So we're going to do that. I did not do my self-care yesterday because I went insane with the bookkeeping. If you'd like to see, I wrote it down. Bookkeeping from 12 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Some of that did include some desktop cleanup and some download cleanup. So like I said, I'm hoping that the pace is much faster this week. Because I've only got 2 more weeks until the 1st. That's not a lot of time. Oh man. I'm going to have to really get intense. I may have to find other blocks. Perhaps Father's Day, all you get are the waffles. Because I really don't know. All right, interesting. My bracelets have scratched this white out horribly. I don't like that. Made it totally gray. It's terrible. Okay, maybe I can put a sticker there later. I don't know. Moving on. Next, we have to time block the morning routine. After the morning routine, we have the affirmations, and then we'll have the notebook tour. Okay, so morning routine. Morning routine is mostly a list. Oh, I think I have to do the drop off. So the cleaning will actually have to happen a half hour later because I believe I am doing the drop off. Just cleaning over here. Well, laundry over here. Which again, I didn't do because I just gave it all to bookkeeping yesterday. All of it. Laundry and cleaning. Okay, so there's a drop off. And that happens at this time. All right. Um, okay. So the drop off. Write that there. Write that there. Okay. Next up is this AM reflection. Just going to add that in. AM reflection is just planning related reflections, like, you know, top 3 priorities type of vibe. Okay, direct morning routine. Uses this color. The vitamins is this color. Okay, and then there's these health related first thing in the morning things. And then meditate, meditate. Something happened there. What happened there? I don't know what happened there. Meditate is supposed to happen at 7. There we go, 7. And then 7:30 is direct morning routine. Wow, look how black this thing has gotten with my bracelets. That's terrible. Oh man, I am confused. Something happened here. This was working. This was working. And now it is not. Now it is not. We are all out of order. Out of order. So it should go like this. Out of order. Out of order. Okay. All right. So meditate is supposed to happen at 7 a.m., which is this time. Okay. Okay, then direct morning routine is at 7:30. 7:30, 7:30, 7:30. And then AM reflection, AM reflection, AM reflection, AM reflection. And then vitamins, 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 vitamins. All right. There we go. There's this. Okay, we have these other little cleanup tasks, vacuuming especially because this house gets super dusty. So first it's okay. I believe that we are completely finished time blocking. So yay, all we have left to do is add some decoration and our to-do lists. I want to use this. Just gonna go for it. Okay, trying to find, here we go, the dot marker. Okay, so there's groceries, and then we have so these lists are the next actions in these main categories, these main areas of responsibility. Okay, there we go. Next up, where are we going decoration wise? I don't even know. I'm just going in. I'm just doing things. I haven't pulled out my washi tape. I probably should have done that, but there we go. That's not a bad color. Kind of matches the metallic, so I'm happy with that. You didn't even see that, which makes sense because I'm not happy with the way it is. So, yay, you didn't see it. But I want to get I want to make little colored transparent stickers that I could stick on the current week. I need to do that and have in all these different colors so that, yeah. Okay, and now we're gonna go skinny for this to do because I want to do some kind of outline. But is that, that may not be the right decision. Yeah, we're gonna use this dark brown first. Oh, wait. I'm missing like this little, there's a little white spot here. There we go. now we're going to write to do. And we're going to outline. All right, there it is. To do. Probably should have done it in black, but or navy, but you know, it is what it is. It stays that way. Okay, so now we're going to add the sticker and the washi tape. So we've got our washi. I think I'm just going to go with this. I don't want to overthink it. So we're just going to go with that. There it is. And then the sticker. Okay. I really don't like this whiteout problem so much. I might put a sticker there too. Even if I make it so that I can't write anything, because it's so annoyingly disappointing. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to just do that right there because I don't like it, and I already know I'm probably not going to do very much. And if I do, I could just write it down. Just write down that I did it. It doesn't have to be on the exact time block. But that whiteout looks so bad that I don't want to look at it, and I don't want to add more. There we go. Now, well, you can't see it. That's a shame, because my face is in the way of you seeing it, but it's there. It looks cool, and it looks much better than two gray whiteout strips. Okay, so that is it. We have time blocked and decorated week 25. Let's jump into our affirmations. Here is June's cover page. And here we will be writing down our June affirmations. There we are. There we are. Okay. We're going to be using my TWSBI. And I'm gonna grab. Oh, actually, we should grab some of the affirmations or um, setting boundaries makes room for more. Hmm. I'll think on that. I'll think on the proper affirmation for that. I easily set boundaries. I don't know. But what we're going to do is go into May, see what we've got. We're going to do I have the courage to face the truth again. Okay, I have the courage to face the truth. I'm noticing that when I'm writing these affirmations, the washi tape on the other side is, I don't know. It didn't disturb it this time, but I'm concerned that at some point in this writing, it's going to bother me. I'm just going to stick this underneath and hopefully it makes it easier. Okay, so I have the courage to face the truth. And that is by Melody. Beatty. And then, I don't even know if I spelled her name right. Like, is it with a Y or is it with an IE? If it's good for me, I see it, I love it, I do it, yes. If it's good for me, I see it, I love it, I do it. And that is by D. Wallace. What else? Well, this is a good one too for that goes along with the reading that we got for the Gemini new moon, which is I know what I want and I easily and confidently say it. Hey. I create the conditions for my happiness all of the time. Create the conditions for my happiness all of the time. What else? I use my voice and language for manifestation. I use my voice and language for manifestation. Okay, and I want to come up with one for setting boundaries. And let's see if Jan Spiller has one, even if it's not a moon in Gemini type of thing. Because she's got in the back, she's got other wishes. I want to assert myself in constructive ways that result in others wanting me to get my way. Like, that's one of the wishes. And I'm going to, I assert myself in constructive ways that result in others wanting me to get my way. Okay, where am I putting that? Right here. I assert myself in constructive ways that result in others wanting me to get my way. Okay. Oh, I forgot to put my initials here, so I'm going to put that there. And then this one, I'm going to give the credit to Jan Spiller. Jan Spiller. Okay. And I want to put one more down here. And let's go back to the Gemini pages. This is a good one for the difficulties I've been having with perimenopause, so I'm going to add it here. And she has, I want to easily find myself thinking on my feet and giving accurate and intelligent responses. There's been times where I'm like missing the right words for what I'm trying to say. And, you know, it makes you doubt yourself and it affects your confidence. And like sometimes I'm rewatching my lives and I see that I completely misspoke. I just said the wrong thing and I kept going. And in the end, I have to choose to let it go because it's done now. Um, but at the same time, I don't like that feeling. And so I want to create something else. And so I easily find myself thinking on my feet and giving accurate and intelligent responses. I easily find myself thinking on my feet and giving accurate and intelligent responses. Period. And then again, Jan Spiller. Okay. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that for now. Maybe at some other point in the month I will have another affirmation and I can write it here. If not, I'll probably just come back and put a leftover sticker there. But here we are. There are our affirmations. We have said them. Today's color is blue, is light blue. And so we have said our affirmations. And so, bam, affirmations. And then, ooh, you know what I just realized? My AF lock disappeared when I got that phone call. So I hope that didn't mess up the focus too much. Okay. And then I like to mark these when I say them. Okay. All right, so I promised a notebook tour, but it's 5:15. Like we have gone over significantly, but because I promised, I've decided I'm going to do it anyway, even though we are later than normal. But let's just do it anyway. Here it is. This is the first stop on the notebook tour, the planner, the Sterling Ink Complete Common Planner, hardcover, A5 size with these tabs. This is the chunk factor. I think if I would have been journaling more, it would be even chunkier, but I didn't journal very much these first 2 quarters because of all the life stuff that was going on for me. So we'll see what happens the rest of the year, how much it fluffs up. So that's the first thing. This is the everyday carry. This is the thing that I use to do the majority of my planning. Okay, so that's this. Next up, you saw it before, is the business notebook. Here I have procedures, I have ideas, I have timelines, I have my projects listed. I have when I worked on those projects. If you look, not much work on these projects after March 22nd. And it's a true statement. Well, no, March 28th, I did a little bit more. But it's a true statement that I did nothing May and June. Well, June isn't over, but I did nothing in May and nothing in April. So that's disappointing. But, you know, I wasn't expecting what happened to me to happen to me. Anyway, so this is it. This is the notebook tour. There is a video that I filmed of me setting up this notebook, so I'm not going to flip through it too much other than to say is that at some point there will be a video where I show my setup of this book. Okay, so business notebook, that's the next one. Then, simply because it's close to me, my tarot notebook. Okay, I purchased this at the beginning of my bullet journal journey, and so I didn't have too many thoughts on paper and how markers would behave on paper and how cumbersome an 8.5 by 11 book would be, etc., etc. Also, this cover gets so dirty, and that's a shame. But this is what I got. One of the first dot notebooks that I bought to fulfill a need. Oops. I have to cut that. Blur that. Okay, so there's an index, which is very behind. Last thing I have here is 2022. And this is like a grid spacing guide that began that I didn't really mess with. And then here are all the entries. I'm not going to do a big major flip through of this because it's personal. This is my personal readings to myself when I am using tarot. Sometimes also when I'm using the pendulum, but a lot of the times if I'm just pendulum testing, it's going in the planner, which also serves as a notebook. Okay, so then that's the tarot journal. Next up is the Midori 10-year diary, which is woefully behind. We are very behind because, again, life happened and a lot of pages were not filled in. Hopefully we can get back. Look, the last time I even touched this was the 12th. And it's an entire month later. But I loved this thing. I need to remember to put time into this because I would love it to be completely filled and all the entries saying something about what happened that day. So I do want to catch up on that, but it probably will not happen until after my bookkeeping project is complete. Okay, so there's that. Then there's this guy who's brand new. Okay. This is definitely going to serve as some kind of commonplace notebook. This is the Ali Riaz A5 chunky journals. Okay, this is the Tomoe River paper and the 3.5 millimeter grid. All I've done here is do some pen testing just to see what kind of pens I'm going to be using. As you can see, there's some ghosting factor that happens. I'm trying to see if I can live with that happening, or if I'm only going to write on one side of the paper to avoid that. My problem with writing only on one side is that when I purchased this, I was like, this looks awesome. It reminds me of a dictionary. And I thought it would be so cool to have this completely be about one topic, you know? And so beyond that, I didn't give it much thought until I said to myself, I really want to do an extensive study on a couple of subjects. One of them is women's studies, feminism, feminist theory and stuff. And I thought, could this book be for that? But then there's also this novel that I want to write, and I've had this idea for since college. And there was further research that I needed to do in order to, because the novel is something that I wanted to write as a historical fiction book. And so then I thought to myself, could this be a writing compendium? That might be something. To have this be a compendium about writing. So those are so far those are the choices. A feminist theory commonplace book, a writing compendium. I don't know why I'm using the word compendium right now. If it's different than commonplace book, I can't remember. But it's definitely gonna get used, maybe even tonight, because I also want to do some content with me just writing. And so we'll see what this ends up being used for, but it's on the docket and it will be used. So that is that. Okay, next in line is my tarot binder. This is an Erin Condren binder. Again, in my early bullet journal days, I created a tarot study notebook in binder form. You know, like major arcana stuff goes here, minor arcana stuff goes here, and like, you know, sort of like notes on each card are supposed to go here, but I only got as far as the Fool. And there's the ghosting, and I didn't seem to mind when I was doing this in 2020. But okay. Then minor arcana in this section. Readings that I do in this section. So in theory, the tarot notebook right here should be going here, but I never did that. And I don't know if I will, because the tarot notebook still has half the book to go. So that's not going to finish anytime soon. So I don't know if I'm ever going to move into that section. I may pull it out later. And then references, which is just various printouts from Benabel Wen, because this binder idea is her idea. And so various printouts from her in the reference area. Then there's the tarot key tables, and this is just straight up. This means that these are the correspondences. You know, this is one word, you know. Very useful. Then each deck that I own, I kind of started to, you know, what does this tarot card mean in this one deck? And so that's what I noticed, is that I would come back in here and write the upright meaning, the reversed meaning, metaphysical correspondence, and, you know, what kind of deck it is. See up here, I have personal deck. So this deck does not want to be used to read other people. This deck specifically said that it's meant to be a personal deck just for me to use. So interesting. Okay. And then, you know, same thing for the minor arcana. Here we have some notes on cups that I wrote down just for that specific deck. And then there's other decks. I was making the pages before I wrote the deck. I mean, before I wrote it. Like, I owned it, I would make the pages, I would pre-make them. I'm not really doing that anymore. Like, I haven't really touched this, although I am tempted to come back in here for certain things, because there's one in here. Yes, this one. I was recently using it, and I was writing a lot for it, and I thought to myself, I should come in here and write down what I got for that reading that I did and just fill in those cards. So I might do that today. Who knows? But that's that with that. And then it keeps going. These are others that I counted the pages out, but I didn't make the columns and stuff. And then there it is again. And then it keeps going. These are all blank. This is the Jade Oracle, and this was their guidebook. I just printed it out. Some other guidebooks. And then, unfortunately, this printout here totally messed up this. And so that makes me sad. It makes me sad. This just tells me this was a very neglected little book here. But yeah, that's the other notebook. Okay. That's the tarot binder. Okay, next up is the Dream Interpretation Commonplace book. And you saw this last year, sometime last year in the summer. But this is basically where I'm writing down quotes that will help me interpret dreams. It's not really meant for my specific dream interpretation. It's definitely meant to be a reference material. Like, I read this and I can find it here and blah, blah, blah. And so it's not an alphabetical order or anything. It's just as it comes in, you know, you get one letter and then it keeps going. Eventually there will be an index, but right now there's not that many entries, so I'm not gonna worry about making that right now. But there it is. That is the Dream Interpretation Commonplace book. All right, we've got a few more notebooks to go, and then we'll be finished. Okay, this is the business planner, which pretty much just has my honeycomb almanac in it. And, you know, some other charts back here, just other metaphysical information. I don't really use this to store notes. It's holding reference that I printed out. And maybe like voiceover notes for videos, but not much gets written here by me. This is more holding the things that I reference frequently. Okay, then we have, I forgot the name of this thing. What is the name of this thing? Oh man, this had a name, but basically it's a folder meant to behave like a notebook where you basically have different subjects um, held together and separated by other pieces of paper and stuff. So in here, we have my moon mapping study guide, you know, all the notes and stuff for that project. And we have other folders with other things. Not too much else going on in here. This was meant for projects, for long-term projects that may span multiple notebooks, and it made sense to, hey, just have the project itself have its own folio. But I am, for the life of me, trifold. No, it's got a special name and I'm forgetting the name. I am forgetting the name. I'm forgetting the name of this thing. But yeah, this is another notebook. Okay, and then we've got a few. One, two. Okay. All right, we're getting there. We're almost at the end. Okay. All right, this one you guys have seen a lot. I mean, not a lot, but you've seen it most. And this is my moon phase journal. I like to plot out the lunar phase of the month like this. Kind of helps me get a better view of things. I like to write down the void of course. I like to write down any aspects or any notes. Sometimes I have time to get in depth, and sometimes I don't. You know, it is what it is. See, sometimes I could get in deep, and sometimes I just didn't have time to do it. So that's pretty much what this does. It just helps me plot out the lunar phase so that it can make more sense to me. Just having it like this helps me more than seeing it in a calendar form or in a horizontal calendar. Okay, so lunar phase book. Then this is my language notebook. This is where I write down information on how to study languages or whatever vocabulary about the languages I'm studying. Right now, I've got Japanese stuff in here. There's a little bit, there's like 1 page of Korean right here. Right here too. But I really haven't had time to study language very much. And so this notebook, hopefully I'll have time to use it, but it won't be till after my project is complete. Okay, next. This is where I write down my dreams. It's just a basic blank with cream paper, leather bound notebook. I've had it for a very long time. I don't always write my dreams in here. Sometimes I'll write them in my planner. Yeah, but this is where the dreams are supposed to get written. Okay, and then next we have the Astrology Commonplace book. Okay, so all astrology information, any class I take about astrology, anything I see online gets written here. You know, and just, you know, some stuff about aspects, you know, some stuff about the asteroids, just various different things. I did add myself as a reference in this one. So, like, if I wrote it, in a previous notebook. I'm writing it down. But generally, commonplace books are meant to hold other people's quotes. But I did, because I talk about the moon so much, and I found myself writing and rewriting the same information in different ways. And I thought to myself, you could just keep referencing yourself instead of rewriting from scratch every time. So that's kind of what started that. Anyway, very basic little book. Also, this leather has gotten dirty, but okay, that's that. That's the astrology book. Okay, and then finally, the goal planner. The goal planner is really a notebook. It's no longer a planner, but it was my 2023 B6 Common Planner. I used it in the last quarter of 2023 as a planner, and then there were all these leftover pages and all of these pages from earlier in the year in the weeklies and the monthlies that weren't used, and I decided to continue to use it as a notebook and just index things. And so that's kind of what has happened. We have, you know, the index here that's just leading you throughout the whole thing. And then swatching starts happening. Just swatching and swatching and swatching, you know, and then tracking. All of my monthly trackers then get transferred to this book. All goal related thingies, you know, goals. All that stuff gets put in here. Every time I do the HB90 vision questions that, you know, she has you do at the beginning of the quarter, where you write down must do, need to do, not must do, I mean must, la 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 la, just look that part up, Ingrid. It's where is it? Here it is. What I need to do, what I should do, and what I want to do. Those three questions keep getting asked in every year, and it happens in this goal planner notebook. And we still got quite a few pages. This will probably take us into next year too. And that's it. That is the end of the notebook tour. We are done. If you are watching us on the replay, give me a sign. Put a notebook emoji if you made it to the end, and that way I know that you were here with me. If you enjoyed our time together, please remember to like and subscribe so that you can be notified when we're live or upload new content. Thank you so much for joining us. I will be live again in July. I have not looked at the dates to see when that will be, but I hope to do more short form content just with me filling in these notebooks, just because I want to. And that's it. We will see you next time. Have a wonderful week 25. Only love prevails. Peace.